Imagine being profiled, viciously assaulted, your rights violated, and then on top of everything else, you're charged with the murder of a law enforcement officer who died after doing all of those things to you. Make it make sense. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Today's video is really disturbing. This story I felt compelled, to share with each and every single one of you. It's a horrific story. It shouldn't be happening, but it is. So without further ado, let's get into it.
This is the moment last May that changed everything for the two men involved. Sergeant Michael Kunovich stopped Guatemalan farm worker Virgilio Aguilar Mendez for, quote, suspicious behavior.
What is suspicious, right? We talk about this all the time, and this is why our activism videos are important. We talk about being what is suspicious. Suspicious is an objective term. It's not just that you're suspicious behavior, you need reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime.
Outside a motel where he was staying in St. Augustine, Florida. After a struggle to arrest Aguilar Mendez, who tried to flee, according to law enforcement, Sergeant Kunovich went into cardiac arrest and died a short time later. Florida's state attorney's office is now charging Aguilar Mendez with aggravated manslaughter of an officer, and he's facing 30 years in prison.
30 years in prison for having your rights violated and being viciously assaulted by a law enforcement officer. And I want to say, listen, this is a tragic death by the law enforcement officer. I'm sure he had a family, friends and family, and my condolences go out to them. This is a tragic event. But what's happened? You're going to compound a tragedy with another egregious tragedy. This officer put himself in this situation. Let's be real. He put himself in the situation by profiling this individual. He didn't have to. Maybe this never happens if he doesn't profile this individual. He was standing outside of a hotel he was staying at, not committing any crimes, just sitting there eating.
Our client's constitutional rights were violated. He was a victim of police brutality, a victim of racial profiling.
Now his attorney is demanding all charges be dropped, or he says they'll sue in federal court.
He was eating outside. He had also been planning on going towards the gas station to get a bottle of soda.
Body camera footage given to NBC News by Aguilar Mendez's attorney shows how the encounter unfolded. You can hear Aguilar Mendez saying multiple times that he doesn't speak English.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me.
Sergeant Kunovich continues yelling commands to him in English, and Aguilar Mendez appears to pull away when Kunovich tries to search him.
Get on the ground!
The struggle continues, and another officer arrives.
No, familia.
These next images are disturbing.
I'm gonna tase you.
Another officer putting his hand on Aguilar Mendez's throat, throwing him to the ground.
Put your hands behind your back.
Kunovich tasing him while he's down, with Aguilar Mendez repeating that he doesn't understand.
Lay on your stomach. I'm sorry, no speak English.
He ends up tased multiple times, with officers tackling him and twisting his arms back. One officer also appears to place his knee on Aguilar Mendez's torso. After Aguilar Mendez was in handcuffs, officers found what appeared to be a small pocket knife, which his attorney says he uses for cutting melons.
Aguilar immediately told the officer he didn't understand English. His native language is ma'am, which is an ancient indigenous language in Guatemala.
At the end of the body cam video, Kunovich's breathing appears labored, and a colleague asks if he's okay before he was taken to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. St. Johns County medical examiner determining Sergeant Kunovich died from an irregular heartbeat caused by the hardening of his arteries, along with high blood pressure and heart disease. The report also said, quote, physical exertion and possible emotional stress while apprehending a fleeing suspect may have contributed to his death.
So that's the narrative that they're trying to paint here, right, ladies and gentlemen? It's physical exertion and possible emotional stress while apprehending a fleeing suspect. He's not a suspect. This is an innocent man. He's not a suspect. He wasn't suspected of committing any crimes. There is no reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime that was committed, was being committed, or was about to be committed. So to call this man a suspect is disingenuous. He wasn't a suspect. He was an innocent man on a sidewalk in front of a motel where she was staying at. He was a resident of that motel. He did nothing wrong. So again, whether this physical exertion, contributed to it, that's on the officer, unfortunately, but apparently it's not. Let's keep watching.
Even if Kunovich hadn't, as you said, tragically died from this, would you still think that Virgilio would have a civil rights case to pursue?
I do, because his constitutional rights to be free from unreasonable search and seizures, which apply not only to citizens, but persons. The Constitution is very clear. It says persons, not citizens.
Aguilar Mendez is currently waiting for his asylum hearing in immigration court. The St. John County Sheriff's Office has not returned NBC's request for comment, and Florida State Attorney's Office saying they don't comment on pending cases.
Ultimately, Sergeant Michael Kunovich succumbed basically to some medical issues that actually were induced by the struggle with our subject.
After 7 months in custody, a judge last month ruled Aguilar Mendez to be incompetent, something that typically happens due to mental health. But his attorney says it's so he can have time to understand the charges and the U.S. legal system, adding he only has a 6th grade education in Spanish, which is his second language.
To charge our client with his death is outrageous, and it's just not supported by the law.
Stephen Romo joins us now in studio.
It's not supported by law, and it is outrageous. Charging this man, again, you want to get into, I'm sure a lot of you, we have the border is definitely a topic for discussion, and we can have a separate video about a discussion about that. Maybe I'll even take a visit to the border and see, immigration is definitely a topic that needs to be talked about and understood. And, but it doesn't matter. This man, whether he was here legally or not, he's awaiting an asylum claim, and which that means he's pending asylum claim. He is here, pending to see if he's qualifies for asylum. But it doesn't matter. He was here not doing anything, standing outside of his motel, and an officer came up to him and immediately started searching him, tried to put him in handcuffs, and then he resisted, violently resisted is what they call it. He didn't violently resist anyone, and because of this officer tragically dying and passing away after this incident, they're going to charge this man with aggravated manslaughter, facing 30 years in prison.
So, Stephen, what happens next here? How likely is it that these manslaughter charges will be dropped? And what are experts telling you about the strength of this case?
Well, today was the deadline the attorney set for those charges to be dropped before deciding to file that civil rights lawsuit. So it seems like that is the next step. As for the case itself, our legal expert, Danny Savallo, is telling me it's likely the defense will try to show that the deputy had a heart condition that preceded this event with the suspect. But that will happen once the court case actually takes place. But for right now, Aguilar Mendez is in limbo because he's been found unfit to stand trial at the moment.
So the sheriff involved in this in St. Johns County is running for re-election. What has the reaction been to him, to that, and this incident within the community?
We have here at NBC tried to reach out to the sheriff's office and get comment, as have other outlets, and they've not really spoken much at all since right after this incident occurred way back in May. So we would like more information about that. He is running for re-election, and many of the people in the community are supporting the deputy's family, holding fundraisers for them. So there is a lot of support. But since the body cam video has been released, there's a lot of attention on this from immigrant rights groups saying that there was not decided suspicious behavior for the stop to begin with, something many people are asking the sheriff and the sheriff's office to answer for.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this happens all the time, right? We've seen it in my videos and others' videos and on news reports that law enforcement officers will, absent any reasonable articulable suspicion, a lot of officers don't even know what that means, unfortunately, but absent of RAS, they detain people, they question people, they'll handcuff people. They will, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, as opposed to seeing you doing something wrong and then investigating that that unlawful act. So we see this happen time and time again across this country, and that's what we're fighting against, right? But what's fascinating about this story is that this man was right. The original encounter was an unlawful detainment. That's clear. There was no reason of articulable suspicion. Okay, and then he was charged with violently resisting, as well as aggravated manslaughter. How does the state's attorney, let's take a look right here. The state's attorney, hold on. The judge actually ruled that this case is complex, and they ruled him unfit to stand trial, which is interesting to me. Usually when someone's ruled unfit to stand trial, it's because they are mentally incapacitated and they cannot understand anything. And I guess because he has an ancient dialect, he doesn't understand, hold on, let me show you right here. So this is the change.org position. Hold on. Oh, we lost video. Well, that's what happens when you're doing live. Let's see. There we go. All right. So this is the change.org petition, release Virgilio Aguilar Mendez immediately. It already has 566,000 signatures. I am one of the individuals who signed. This is the state's attorney. This is where the petition is going to. State Attorney RJ Larizza. So I implore, if State Attorney RJ Larizza is watching this video, sees the petition, I'm sure you've seen the petition with over 500,000 signatures on it, but I would implore you, sir, to do the right thing and release this man immediately. This is a grave injustice. This is horrible. This makes me sick to my stomach, and I'm sure it makes a lot of you sick to your stomach. This man should not be charged with the death of this officer. This officer obviously had pre-existing medical conditions. And from a legal standpoint, I wish I had my attorney, one of my attorneys here to explain it to you, but I've talked to them, and from a legal standpoint, they can't win. I mean, you would have to prove that this man knew that he had to have known or should have known that this officer, that his actions could have cost this officer his life and caused this medical emergency. How are you going to prove that in a court of law? Again, this makes no sense. And this is not something that's just been happening, ladies and gentlemen. This happened in May of 2023. Virgilio has been in the county jail since May without a bond. Let me say that again. He's been inside the county jail since May without any bond. So it's been 8 months. This 18-year-old kid, I'm a lot older than him, so I'll call him a kid. Looks like a kid. This 18-year-old kid has been locked up for 8 months. They're telling him he's being charged with aggravated manslaughter. I don't even understand the charges. I don't understand why they're doing it. Imagine, and I'm sure you can't understand, lawyers don't understand why this is happening to this man. Imagine him, who doesn't even, his second language is Spanish, his first language, some ancient dialect of Mayan culture. Like, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Like, what is going on here? So they have some videos here of some people who've signed this petition. Let's take a look at those really quick. And I invite you all to listen. I'll leave the link in the description for this petition if you want to check it out.
This poor kid is innocent. And the fact that he doesn't even understand what happened or how our justice system works, and we're still going to put him in jail to teach him how our justice system works, when you can clearly see that he's an 18-year-old kid that did nothing wrong. You guys have to do something to stop this.
Let's take a look at another one.
Virgilio Aguilar Mendez should be released. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just standing outside his place of residence. There's nothing illegal about that in this country. He shouldn't be charged with murder or manslaughter of this police officer who died of natural causes. It's been proven that the police have lied and fabricated his story.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you can go check out, I'll leave the link in the description and the pinned comment of this video. I've already signed, as you can see, I've already signed the petition. I wanted to make this video to, amplify this story as best as possible. Everybody should be covering this story. Anybody who can and has any sort of platform should be covering this story. This is an injustice on the highest level. 8 months locked in a county jail because he was assaulted. He was unlawfully detained, tased, handcuffed, arrested, kidnapped, whatever you want to call it. This man should not be going through this. And maybe if the officer, I'm sure this is not the first time with this sergeant, a supervisor who should know better. I'm sure this is not the first time that this man has unlawfully detained someone before, regardless of their skin color. I'm sure he has unlawfully detained people in his career before. It happens all over this country. How many times have I been unlawfully detained throughout our entire country, from New York to California and everywhere in between? So many times, countless times. And this is what happens. This is what could happen. Not only did that sergeant lose his life, Virgilio could have lost his life that night. They could have felt something in his pocket. They could have got a trigger happy rookie cop, and they could have killed him, and they could have ended his life. They could have ended his life, and he would have had nothing left. His mother would have lost her son, brothers, sisters. That's why the cops need to learn the law. If you're going to enforce the law, you need to learn the law. You need to learn how to enforce the law. You need to know what reasonable articulable suspicion is, probable cause. You need to do all of those things. You need to know how to effectively do your job. And harassing and tasing and assaulting and unlawfully detaining and searching, violating his Fourth Amendment rights of a man who is standing outside of a motel that he is currently residing in. Why couldn't he just de-escalate the situation? What was the point of putting him in handcuffs? He wasn't a danger to anybody. He was just standing out there. The law enforcement officers have nothing. This department has said nothing about any action that he did that would constitute reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. Nothing. The state's attorney, nothing. These charges should be dismissed immediately. 8 months in a county jail. It's horrible. This is sickening. Like and share this video, please, everyone. We need to get this story out here. I'll leave the link in the description to this change.org petition. I will say that I wanted to also just touch up on Attorney Shield. Attorney Shield is launching. We have a firm launch date of March 27th of this year. So if you signed up early, you continue to sign up early, you will receive the 50% discount. So if you want to sign up for Attorney Shield, that'll be in the description below as well. I'm very excited to have this app come out and be able to protect everyone. In this case, we could have an attorney try and de-escalate the situation, right? Could have translators. It's really horrible what happened to this young man. And, I hope that he gets the justice he deserves. And I hope we can reach this million signatures here. Other than that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. Oh, one last thing before I get into last thing. I have some huge news coming. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're glued to the channel. Huge news. I cannot tell you right now, but it's coming soon. Huge news. Stay tuned. I promise you. Make sure notifications are turned on. Oh, I saw somebody gifted some memberships, We the People memberships in the beginning of this live stream. So I appreciate you for that. All the We the People channel members that hit the join button below, I really appreciate you guys. You make this all possible. So thank you so much. But like I said, as always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island Audit. Peace.